Hello everybody, my name is Rimlanoski, and before I start this video, I'm going to try out the Baconator Pringles. I'll be back. I'm back. So, Dee Blanchard was a mom, and then something happened. I'm going to express what happens by discussing the entire case, and then my thoughts on it, which are kind of dark thoughts, not like dark as in I need to be hospitalized, but what I say isn't probably what a normal person would admit. Or at least not what I've heard other people admit. Except, weirdly, the people who convicted her. Anyway, I'll get to that in a second. Anyway, so I'm just going to go through the case itself, piece by piece, and kind of explain what happened. I'm going to go through the act, and then I'm going to go through the documentary, Mommy, Dad, and Dearest. The act is the show that said case is based on, which discusses, well, in its namesake, the act and what led up to it. So, the story most likely begins with the way the show begins. Gypsy, the daughter, and Dee, the mom, the aforementioned mom, they get a house for Habitat of Humanity because Dee is pretty much shaking Gypsy like a piggy bank. Like a kid would shake a piggy bank to go, oh, look how much money I have. Yeah, instead she's shaking all the cuteness and sympathy she can get from people out of this daughter, who actually has nothing wrong with her, except this isn't even a problem because a lot of people have it, so just a thing that exists. But she has a like thing with her voice to where she sounds like a child. But okay, first of all, there's a lot of people, at least celebrities, two that I can currently name, both of them being girls, but there's a lot of celebrities like Bella Daphne and adult film star Lucy Doll who have this cartoonish looking sounding voice, so that isn't really that much of a problem. I don't know where said voice can come from, so if any of you guys know how that voice happens, let me know. In fact, I'm pretty sure most people just put on the voice like they can do said voice, but I do believe that because Gypsy has never had another voice than the one that makes her sound like she's 7, that's the only voice she has. But, unlike what you see on the outside, she is quite smart. She doesn't need a feeding tube, and in fact can eat all solid foods. The only reason sugar ever did anything to her is because of her lack of it. And it's made a whole thing that she can't eat sugar, which is false. She can walk, even though she's something bad happened to her. I don't remember exactly what it was in real life, but in the show, she falls off a trampoline, and a few days later, she's hospitalized into, not hospitalized, but Dee puts her in a wheelchair. And so, according to the documentary, Dee has been doing all this stuff, all this bad manipulating and fraud checks and all this bad stuff, for as long as she, was basically able to write checks and be a bad person. She's been a bad person, and she starved her mom to death because her mom was unable to get out of bed, and so Dee would never give her anything to eat. And in the show, there's kind of a reason behind this, although it's not really justified. So Dee mom knows Dee is a bad person and most likely gonna be a bad mom. so the mother, we'll just call her Grandma, because that's who she would be to Gypsy if she was around when Gypsy was able to call anything Grandma. But anyway, so Grandma decides to take more care of Gypsy than Dee Dee can, and Dee Dee kind of snaps. She ends up going to jail for a bit, which this is the first time we hear of her going to jail in the show, although it's quite clear in the documentary that she's been to jail numerous times. But Grandma is now in bed, can't move, after Dee Dee has come back and Gypsy's about 4 years old. And so there's a scene where she's watching The Land Before Time 2. Don't ask me why I know that. That's what they're watching. And you can hear in the background, over Littlefoot and that purple Tyrannosaurus talking, you can hear the mom crying out for Dee Dee. She needs food. She's hungry. She needs something. And what does Dee Dee do? Turn the volume up. And so she lets Grandma die, and nothing happens. Like the parents and the other family expect something that would have happened, but it doesn't happen. Like she doesn't get arrested or even taken to court or anything. She just let her mom die, which I think you could put under like first-degree murder or manslaughter. No, not possibly second. Yes, Dee Dee got second, and what she did, it's kind of a harsh sentence. So we'll get to that next. So, back to the present, or at least the present from the show and documentaries, current timelines. Gypsy is being mentally and physically abused by her mom when no one is around. There's actually this thing where she'll hold Dee Dee's hands and kind of squeeze them when Dee Dee's either talking too much or saying stuff she shouldn't, which teaches Gypsy to stop talking, and she kind of, it's in all the pictures too, the whole holding the hands thing, and in a video you can actually see her jab her thumb into this part of Gypsy's hand. Kind of like, hold on, this is Dee Dee's hand, this is Gypsy's hand. She would kind of do a bit of this, or kind of hold her hand and then squeeze her fingers together, kind of causing them to overlap like this, which when you're a kid it tells you stop talking. Which is kind of a harsh thing to do, especially since Gypsy doesn't know any better. So now we're going to talk about Nick. Nick is a seriously fucked up individual. I know I haven't really been cussing this whole video, but he is a deeply fucked up person. Okay, nothing wrong with BDSM. That's not why he's fucked up. This is too much information, but to show you how unfucked up it is, I like BDSM. So, it's not a fucked up, that's not what makes him fucked up is, okay, to know how deeply disturbed this kid is, he's older than me, this guy is, he was once arrested for not masturbating, watching porn in a McDonald's and fondling himself for 9 hours. That is truly messed up. Also, according to numerous reports and Gypsy herself, he wanted to rape Dee Dee, but tragically, not tragically as in he should have raped Dee Dee, but unfortunately Gypsy offered up herself, meaning he could rape her instead. And he was the one who actually committed the murder and is now doing a life sentence. So, yeah, Nick is messed up. He also kind of forced her into this BDSM thing, and the way BDSM relationships should work is both parties should kind of be in to the BDSM. not. One guy's into it, and the other one is kind of willing to do anything to please his or her partner. That's not how it works. Which is kind of another fucked up thing that Nick did. The documentary goes through numerous texts. They considered the murder plan for Dee Dee Plan B. But when all has failed, they tried to meet up at a movie theater. Then that failed. And Dee Dee actually went home, took a hammer, and smashed Gypsy's laptop. Then took her phone and smashed that with said hammer. And then threatened to smash her fingers if she ever ran away from home. And that is not how you deal with a kid running away from home. You actually are supposed to realize that it's probably either the kid's irresponsible or it's something you're doing wrong. A kid doesn't run away from home because they hate their parents. They either run away from home because it's something else, like they're just being dumb, or they're running away from home because you're doing something wrong. And in the case of Dee Dee, she was doing something wrong. She wasn't giving her kid enough freedom. And then there's all the numerous sexual things, like, so Nick had multiple personality disorder. He was never diagnosed with it, so I don't know if this is actually true. In the show, he just had one, and it was named Victor. But in real life, he had multiple personalities. It's the name of multiple personality disorder, and so he said, well, I, Nick, have a girlfriend, you, Gypsy, why I think my other personality should have a girlfriend. And so, Gypsy came up with multiple personalities for herself. I remember one's name is Kitty. She's kind of like the, dominant daddy little girl, or DDLG type. Or the, brat type, if you're really into BDSM terminology. She's kind of the, oh, I'm a little girl, but I'm also the big girl type thing. Taking pictures, holding her animal, and dressing up like a child. Then they have a slut. She had a slut personality, as the documentary called it. I don't remember her name, but then she had, I believe her name, and then she had my dog's scratching at the carpet. She had an evil personality, which kind of looked like someone from RWBY or Ruby. Oh, that makes sense. The evil one was called Ruby. But yeah, this is kind of the case of one of my favorite musicals of all time, and honestly one of the darkest late 18th century plays ever. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Hold on, I gotta go think about what I was gonna say. Yeah, this all reminds me of Spring Awakening, which is a musical based on a play called The Awakening of Spring. If you haven't read said script for play, it's free. If you haven't heard the soundtrack to the musical, I have it on CD, but it's all around YouTube. I highly recommend it. But, the point of the play is what happens if you try to kind of like stop teenage sexuality from blossoming. The dangerous results that can happen. One girl is raped and becomes pregnant. Another kid tries to fight off his homosexual feelings for another kid. One kid gets expelled. Another kills himself. If I'm not mistaken, those are the two same guy. The guy who gets expelled and kills himself. It's also described very well in the Dead Poet Society. Not the whole hiding sexual things, but not letting a kid blossom. Like, not letting them grow up, make their own decisions. And I'm not going to spoil that one for you, but it does have a dark ending. Not a dark ending, but kind of like a realistic yet sad ending. that will make you cry, because it's both uplifting and sad at the same time, and Robin Williams is in it. Just go watch it. Dead Poets Society, go watch it. Anyway, so because Dee Dee kept her daughter, who was really fine, from figuring out the kind of person she wanted to be both romantically and sexually, which you're supposed to do as a teenager. That's why teenagers get so many relationships, is because they figure out what worked, what didn't, and then they can help apply that to their adult life. Yeah, teenagers learn things. Anyway, uh, so Nick and Dee Dee, no, not Nick and Dee Dee, yeah, Nick and Gypsy decided to kill Dee Dee. But, Gypsy never actually did anything. She helped give stuff to, Nick so he could commit the murder, but she never did it. The last words she said to Gypsy was, "Do not hurt me," or "Don't hurt me," because Gypsy had supposedly hurt her feelings, and she was saying, "Don't hurt me," as in don't hurt my feelings anymore. I'm going to bed. I got a migraine. Yada yada yada. She said all that stuff, and it is really sad that she had to be that way. I don't get it. But yeah, there's nothing else to say. As most people who watched the news at that time know, Gypsy was convicted with second-degree murder and sentenced to 10 years in prison. Nick, as I said, was given the aforementioned life sentence. And here's where I tell everyone what I think, which is honestly what everyone should think if they have any human sympathy. That Dee Dee ultimately got what she deserved. After being manipulative to everyone and your own daughter for years, this shit will happen. Karma will bite you in the ass. And I believe that what Gypsy was doing classifies as self-defense. Because Menhausen by proxy is a form of child abuse. And a twisted form of child abuse at that. Like, most child abuse, it's all dark and horrible stuff, but most child abuse is like out there. But this one is, you're trying to get under their skin. You're trying to make them feel like nothing without you. And after so many cases of Dee Dee just going to jail and not really being there for her daughter in the way that she should, yeah. Am I glad scum like Dee Dee is dead? Yes. I am incredibly glad. And I know that Gypsy, who will probably never ever see this video, is probably just, I understand. She's probably heartbroken by the fact of what she had done. But it's better than being abused by her your whole life, Gypsy. And I honestly hope you never see this video, considering it's made so crappily. And I honestly, let's just say that, Gypsy, this personal message is for you for some reason. Your case has kept me up at night and caused me to go insane for research, just because I wanted to know why the judicial system would fuck over someone so seemingly not at fault. You are protecting yourself. And yes, some of the stuff you did could have been done better, and you know that you're an adult. You're like 25. 26, actually. And I know we never met, we probably never will, but I cannot wait for you to finally get out there and start your life in 2026. Unless you get bailed out in 2024, which I hope you do. Take care, everybody. See you later.